Who is Shadow of the Erdtree's final boss? How to beat familiar Elden Ring foe.
What?
Who is the final boss in Elden Ring Shadow of the Erdtree?
What? He's alive? Oh my god,
Elden Ring's DLC has the hardest boss in Fromsoftware history, and it's not Trilana or Messmer.
What? Nah. Where did this come from, bro?
It took me 7 hours to beat Elden Ring, Shadow of the Erdtree's final boss.
Is that who I think it is?
Did Fromsoftware go too far? Did they not go far enough in some fans' minds? In the pursuit of outdoing the hardest boss ever made, the DLC Shadows of the Erdtree might have made the strongest contender for controversial boss we have seen in the series, which includes the Bed of Chaos. This video will delve into the story of the DLC's hardest boss, and the one that borders on community love or hatred. But time is the best friend you can ever ask for when it comes to these conversations. So buckle in with me and really make sure that you have the build as we take on the final boss of the DLC. I encourage you to like and subscribe if you enjoyed these sorts of deep dives into boss fights and community sentiment, as it's the best way I can reflect on how to improve this channel even more in the future. I appreciate everyone who subs. Seriously, guys, thank you. And my growth on here has just been, it's just been awesome, man. Thank you for being a part of it. The Souls community is genuinely one of the best, and I just want to keep making videos for you guys and keep making videos in general on single player games. Okay, thank you. Enjoy the video. If you were to tell any player who booted up Elden Ring that there would be a boss so powerful that a whole in-game festival was made for him with his very own song, you would just have to see it for yourself. The Radahn Festival was one of the most precious memories of Elden Ring, and hearing all of the NPCs in the area having different motivations for fighting the great champion, General Radahn, expanded the world building to a new extreme. Some were there to end the suffering of Radahn at the hand of Melania, who whispered something in his ear before infecting him with the Scarlet Rot, which consequently would leak into his mind. Others were there to fulfill a vision of the stars, since Radahn was so powerful that he held back the stars from the lands between. You were there for your own journey. Maybe it was to see what the hype of this boss you kept hearing about really was, or maybe it was because you wanted to fulfill Ranni's quest. And for the DLC, Shadows of the Erdtree, you were here because it was a requirement. Either way, Radahn was so powerful, he got his very own cutscene separate from entering his arena, like you would find with all of the other main game bosses. Radahn was such a legendary figure that summoning was a part of the craze that was his fight. And since I already covered this fight in another video, I encourage you to watch that for more details on it and the hidden secrets. The main point here is that FromSoft would end up nerfing this behemoth of a boss fight, and the community would rally behind the idea of beating pre-nerf Radahn. But what if that was all a part of the plan? What if FromSoft's grand idea the whole time was for Radahn to become the main tragic character of the many main tragic characters that this game offers? For that, we're going to need to travel into the lands between.
Let's go! Let's go, dude!
How many times am I gonna teach you this lesson, old man? I had to kill him twice!
Oh, come on, baby! Oh, come on, baby!
As clear as day.
After a battle away with the Lord of Blood and thought to be Moog Lester, players opened the path to the Realm of Shadow for the very first time. This was always thought to be the DLC entrance, as dearest Miquella's hand-pouring blood is what transported Moog, and it had the perfect-looking entrance for a DLC of this difficulty. Now, I just covered how hard the DLC has been and talked about community sentiment on it splitting people's opinions, but I can't stress how much of a jump for joy this DLC of Shadow really was. From the wild amount of time you could spend here to the many bosses worthy of their own videos and the exploration which just kept on giving, this was some of Fromsoftware's best work. It was so meticulously planned too, because the marketing would lead you to believe that Messmer was this central antagonist, and while he is a boss with his own castle, he is far from the main villain. Letta, an NPC we meet in the Shadow Realm, is the narrator of this DLC's story trailer, and she has her own motivations to dislike Messmer, but she just happens to love Miquella. I mean, who doesn't love Miquella in these lands? Miquella is almost never talked about in any negative way. He is an Empyrean whose curse is staying child-sized to what we know, but his brother Messmer is cursed by the snake, and his sister Malenia is cursed by rot. These other two had curses that deteriorated their bodies. Malenia's was helped by Miquella with golden alloy armor she sports, and Messmer by Marika by sealing the serpent behind his eyes with a seal. If these two have a deteriorating physical outer god infecting them, then Miquella's real curse might still be out there. The only item we could speculate in the main game that Miquella could have other motivations other than helping us was the Bewitching Branch, which stated, "The Empyrean Miquella is loved by many people. Indeed, he has learned very well how to compel such affection." You didn't think that after fighting Malenia and her brother Messmer that you would just magically find the third Empyrean child as an ally, did you? Miquella's curse was akin to his mother Marika's, and that might just be the pursuit of godhood. We learned that Miquella shed his loving side, Saint Trina, in the Land of Shadow's depths, but Saint Trina made it clear that
Godhood would be Miquella's prison. A caged divinity is beyond saving. You must kill Miquella.
But again, how could Miquella ascend to godhood here? Who would he bring with him since his whole family is basically dead at the hands of us? Well, in the Shadowkeep, we get those answers.
After Lord Moke's slain at his dynastic palace, it appears his body has been absconded with and taken straight to kind Miquella. What could they possibly have in mind for Lord Moke's remains? The implications are rather unnerving. Even the truth was itself mere folly. As if using Lord Moke to gain entrance to the Land of Shadow were not enough, he plans to use his corpse as the vessel of his king consort. He has forsaken Lord Moke's soul. He desires only his empty shell. It beggars belief, but I'm afraid tender Miquella fails to grasp the humiliation implied by this act.
As the Festival of War concluded, General Radahn's soul met an honorable end, but kindly Miquella wishes to revive it.
Oh, that's a bombshell. After fighting through Messmer and Romina, we see the direct result of Miquella's power, as all of the NPCs we have met through Miquella's quests are here to challenge us to a fight. But if you did quests throughout your time in the DLC, you can bring in backup the same way for you.
I am Ansbach of the Pureblood Knights. I stand with blade aloft, blood afire, for the dignity of my lord and master Moke. Well, good Freya, it will be my honor to test my blade against a Redmane.
I am here to serve St. Trina evermore. I am deeply sorry for doubting you. I am here only to grant St. Trina's singular wish. I will stop Miquella the Kind. He will never become a god.
This is exactly the kind of pre-boss encounter fitting of a final boss build-up, and I can tell you handily that this fight is not easy.
I'm sorry for speaking to you as a compatriot when we stood before the withered arm. By way of apology, I will reveal the marrow of my sword, its needles that will stitch you into death. Kindly, Miquella, make the world a gentler place.
But after all, You should have known that Fromsoftware always starts Elden Ring trailers with the end of the game. In the original trailer, we saw Marika/Radahn slamming the hammer into the ring and shattering it along with their own body. In the DLC, we see Marika grabbing the seeds of godhood and holding them above this gigantic portal. Now, I don't know enough about this, but we can assume that this is where she would become a god. Well then, color me shocked that this would be where we meet the hardest boss the game has ever seen. And I say that knowing full well that Millennia exists. Meet Radahn?
Be honored, and my lord brother's soul will return, so that he
What?
may be my consort. So that he
What?
may be my consort.
He's alive!
Nah. Where did this come from, bro?
Is that who I think it is? What?
Radahn is back, but how? Well, we are to blame. See, remember how the entry to the DLC was Mohg? Remember how we also, for some reason, had to kill Radahn? For a while, I thought it had to be something to do with the fact that the Mogwyn Palace sat underneath Caelid, and something kill both something unlock the Shadow Realm. Well, as it turns out, Radahn was Miquella's consort. The layers will get peeled back as we continue on, so don't worry. Radahn came out with a flurry of attacks that felt familiar to his main fight, and you might be wondering why he's a lot smaller, and the best I can give you lays in one attack that Radahn casts, this Blood Flame Slash. Who is the one who would do a Blood Flame Slash? That's right, Mohg. Mohg's body was stolen by Miquella and used to place Radahn's soul inside of. Don't get too bogged down in the realism here. We are dealing with gods who control the stars, okay? Radahn is that size due to it not being his body, and with no Great Rune. The attack windows here are tight too, with Radahn not really giving a lot of room to breathe to the player. Slashes, ground slams, meteor attacks, blood flame, it was all fitting the spectacle of a final boss. And seeing the scorched remains at the Flame of Mesmer, of the portal that Marika once used in the background, was special. If you look closely at those remains, they all have horns, meaning that Marika sacrificed thousands of horn scent in an act of revenge and ascension to godhood. And by the time we get to the phase 2 of Radahn, we finally see Miquella after all.
At long last you are returned. Tarnished one. Aspiring lord of the old order. If you have known sin, if you grieve for this world, then yield the path forward to us. To I, Miquella, and my promised consort, Radahn. At long last you are returned. To I, Miquella.
Oh my god,
and my
it's
promised consort, Radahn.
it's a princess fight again?
I'm so fucked.
If you grieve for this world.
Wait, did I see this? I said, on God, I apologize, chat.
Promised consort.
I never seen this. I'm gonna instantly die, by the way. Chat, I want you to know that I'm gonna instantly die.
Bro, he looks so cool. Tell me that's not a Yu-Gi-Oh character. Wait. How much lore is happening here? This ain't your average phase 2.
Tarnished one.
Oh, he's bigger now.
4 arms and a loving display, Miquella has entered the fight like a Smash Bros character. And since Miquella wants to smash his bro, we need to save Radahn from the charm. You might think that Radahn was all in on Miquella's plan, but that would be foolish, as Radahn, as strong and kind as he is described in the lore, would never just bow down to Miquella's plan unless he was charmed with trickery the way that so many had been before. This phase was insane. Not only were there a flurry of new attacks like this 5-piece combo of slams and this holy charge at full speed, but there was even a grab attack that didn't kill you. In fact, this was part 1 of the charm. If you were grabbed and then grabbed a second time, this would happen.
Let us go together.
See, Miquella put you under his spell, and the only way out was to either dodge it, or you can use the Great Rune acquired from the Sunflower boss and rid yourself of the charm. Radahn would barely let you get an inch on him though, and some of his attacks were so strong with all these particles and beams that on PC, it would drop frames to the point where some people died as a result of this. And funny enough, FromSoft has since put in a patch to try to fix this, but we'll see how it goes. Let me know in the comments if you're still experiencing issues. Everyone would struggle here.
I got greedy.
I'm lagging. Okay, cool. You just nuked the entire arena!
That's...
Now, reactions to this fight have led majority of the community to not exactly love it. Melania was the same way in the base game, with so many hating her attacks, especially the waterfowl dance attack. But with Radahn, there was a disdain for a multitude of reasons. The dance, so to speak, of the fight felt off. It didn't feel like the typical dance of boss attacks, then I attack, then boss, then me. More so, it felt like boss, 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 then maybe me, depending on if he wants to use a certain attack, then boss, boss, boss. Now, time is always the best measurement of a fight, as people would take almost a year to learn the waterfowl dance attack consistently. But with Radahn, I think the amount of screen clutter with all the beams might be a fair argument. But then again, if you think about it, you are fighting a god at the same time as Prime Radahn in Mohg's body. Was it really supposed to be fair? I leave you with that question in the comments. Radahn's difficulty became the line of bullshit versus fair among the entire Souls community, with people sinking hundreds of deaths and hours into Phase 2. One thing I found interesting in all the DLC boss fights is that they didn't have a bunch of health bars outside of the Sunflower, with most bosses beginning Phase 2 at about 70% of health remaining. Radahn had all of the signatures of the original fight, including, of course, the meteor attack. I find it very fitting that the boss that was nerfed for being too hard is now in that discussion again, and difficulty was something hammered on by fans of the game for the DLC. FromSoft did nerf the early game difficulty of the DLC by increasing the effectiveness of the Shadow Tree fragments, and I don't think the community knew how impactful these really were, since they just allowed you to deal more damage and take less. Just like Elden Ring's base game, I also believe that if everyone explored and then tried their hand at mini-bosses, that they would have the right tools. In this case, the deflecting hard tier dropped from the very first Furnace Golem. This allowed everyone to deflect attacks from Radahn and even counter hit him. This boss is also very weak to stagger damage, blood loss, and parrying, as the hitless and 30-second kills have shown. So again, is the boss really unfair, or did the right game plan not exist yet? Either way, eventually, after a long time of getting ran over by Radahn and Miquella, players would pull through and win.
Thank God, fist only finally did it. Holy shit.
Boom! It's done! Woo! Get fucked!
This fight might also look familiar to you if you've played Dark Souls 3. Remember the twin princes? Hey, I'm just saying, it looks really similar, even if it functions completely differently. But this fight was a unique ending. See, there's no new ending that you can get from the DLC for the base game, which is, in my opinion, just a little bit disappointing. But there was a cutscene for Miquella after the fight.
Lord brother, I'm going to be a god. If we honor our part of the vow, promise me you'll be my consort.
After watching the cutscene and reading the Radahn armor and the remembrance, we can piece together a lot of answers to questions posed a while back. Why did Marika shatter the Elden Ring? Well, Saint Trina does answer this.
Godhood would be Miquella's prison. A cage divinity is beyond saving.
Marika understood this, but it was almost too late. Miquella, fueled by love and a potential bitterness of being bound to being a child-sized Empyrean with no strength, was the conductor of a grand scheme of godhood. He charmed Malenia after saving her from the Scarlet Rot Outer God and blessing his sister with golden armor, and this would hatch a plan to take the one he really wanted and believed to be the strongest. It also ties into why Malenia is fighting Radahn in that very first cutscene. Maybe Radahn disagreed with the plan, or maybe this was the plan the whole time. We don't know if Radahn was charmed before the war with Malenia, but what we do know is what was whispered now. Miquella awaits thee, O promised consort. This implies that Miquella sent Malenia to kill Radahn, so he could make him his consort in the Shadow Realms later. Malenia failed, but then we came back and took him out in the Radahn Festival. Miquella then charmed Mohg into kidnapping him and bringing him to a place where he could enter the Realm of Shadow. We were a puppet in his plan, and he revived Radahn's soul after we killed him and used Mohg's body as a vessel. Radahn is not consenting to the plan, by the way. Instead, he is being controlled by the one who has the ability to steal anyone's heart. And before you fall for that same plan, remember that Miquella shed his loving side, Saint Trina. Marika never left her warrior side, Radagon, but Miquella was willing to shed everything to become a god, and in doing so, would make the entire world follow him at any cost. Without you putting an end to him, we were doomed for a world with no free will. I personally still want that Miquella ending to be an option in the game. So, that was the Radahn fight, and it's one of my favorites of all time. Definitely controversial, but I personally love it. What do you think, though? My name is Evan, and hopefully, I explained that well. I'll see you in the next video.